It is an honor to stand before you today at this meeting to review the City of Bulawayo Master Plan and also present on the multi-use of land. The city has decided to combine these two presentations to ensure that we showcase the need to conserve the finite resources, which is land. The City of Bulawayo, through the review of the master plans, seeks to be a leading smart and transformative city status by 2024. We note that using the master plan approach helps in guiding development that meets the needs of the present generation without jeopardizing the future generation. We note the need to focus on becoming a smart and a sustainable city that is livable, resilient, and inclusive and safe. In this discussion, we need to come up with a sustainable solution in the development of Bulawayo in the future. This includes the use of solar energy. It is noted that solar farms take a lot of space. As a city, we have seen the need to have multi-use of land, that is setting up solar farms in cemeteries, waterworks, and sewer works. In this master plan review, the focus has been to ensure long-term planning to guide local initiatives, ensure green energy and green building technologies. The City of Bulawayo's vision is to be a leading, smart, transformative city by 2024. And in setting up this vision, the city noted the need to adopt smart city concept in technology and sustainability for the future generations of Bulawayo. Ladies and gentlemen, the consultants have compiled the report of study and a draft written statement that they are here to present to us today. It has been a difficult task that they sought to achieve in light of the volatile economy and the global COVID pandemic. This greatly restricted their ability to consult widely and carry out surveys to the greater Bulawayo community. The pandemic has also influenced the decisions that are being made in the new master plan for the City of Bulawayo, presenting a new normal for the city and the world. This consultation today is both statutory and a culture in council, in that public and all stakeholders should have an input to the final document. The report, it is important that as various stakeholders are brought on board, the final process, because your ideas are of great importance in the present and future generation of Bulawayo. Thank you for coming today. We are looking forward to your input and constructive criticism.
Idorobho lethu sike silivakatshele, sike sikhangeleni amakhona ethu wonke, sibe able to review i-master plan yethu. As I was reading in the morning, ngakhangela i-Country Park izolo ibisesimeni esibi ngama-floods, onkulumane omganwini, and so on. Where did we go wrong? If ever we went wrong. Saphambanisa ngaphi? Kuphambaniseke ngaphi? Ngoba asomlando kabani, umlando wethu sonke njengabantu bakaBulawayo sifuna kume njani? Sifunani ngaphi? Sifuna ukuthi kukhangeleke njani ngaphi? Kuyini esikufunayo njengoBulawayo? Sifuna ukuhlala kunje yini? Bakha abakhayo sisuthisekile nge-setup ekhona. Uma singasuthisekanga, kumbe uma sifuna ukunonisa, sinonisa ngani, njani, ngaphi? Singaku-analyze, bekuzaba kuhle nabenza fisa baba mayor ukuthi from time to time uye uthatha abantu lihambe ku-waterworks, abantu bebone emadamu ukuthi amiso kumbe endaweni enje kumiso. When they come back bahlala abantu ukuthi sibone so aluba kumaso. Khathesi sikhuluma ngemganwini, bakhona abangazi emganwini. Nxa sikhuluma ngeCountry Park ukuthi iba lama-floods, bakhona abangazi eCountry Park. Masikhuluma ngeMahachula, bakhona abangazi eMahachula. Kanti vele limi njani idorobho lethu? Sisaselo mhlabathi yini ukuze nxa sicontributor ku-master plan sisazi ukuthi umhlabathi lwanongaka sifuna kube nje, sifuna into enje. Do we still have a land? Ngoba currently I know ukuthi we are being surrounded by imguza. Ngike ngakhulumisana lo town clerk recently. Kulo mama obengene ule plaza lakhe along Airport Road. There is a lot of dead wood eplaza lakhe. Wabuya kwa Forestry Commission waphiwa permit yokuthi harvest dead wood, but quantities ezithile ngoba you cannot go one. Uthe sengena sebangungena khona wabanjwa ngama-range emguzi. I-truck yakhe yavalelwa ilokhu ilode inkuni, yena yimota ayisebenzisayo. Ukuthi ayithathe kwathiwa 40,000, wabhadala i-40,000 wathatha imota watshiya inkuni, kodwa eproduce i-permit e-Forest Commission. Something is wrong. Sifuna kume njani? Sifuna idorobho lethu siyafisa yini ukuthi lihlonipheke njengezolo? Uma silwayisa ukuthi lihlonipheke njengezolo, sifuna kube njani? Kumele kuphume emhlanganweni wakho ukwenzela ukuthi singahlekwa ngokhokho asebalala kudaladala besemathuneni ukuthi bathi bafundile kodwa kabazi lutho. Deputy Mayor, there is a lot that we need to see njengabantu bakobulawayo kobulawayo.
The sensitive issue that we want to deal with is multiple use of land. By saying multiple use of land, we are saying ukuthi asisebenziseni iland esetshenziswe okunye siphinde sisebenziseni okunye. I know it's quite sensitive, but we have to think about that. So as Bulawayo, we are always the first. Like we're first, we have the master plan, and we've done the review of our master plan. This is another review which we are doing. So what we are saying is, what should we do? Because our solar farms, we need to go green. We need green energy. But a solar farm, like it was said, would tata in our enkulu. Itata in our enkulu, that place you can't use it for anything except it. Then we are saying, let's look around Bulawayo. We've got our cemeteries. Those cemeteries, we've got our beloved, our Pumula Konap, but Pezu, Agulani. So we are saying, in multiple use of land, let's use Pezu, to sifage ama solar farm. Then, abaleleo the beloved, Babe Kona Konapo. That is the multiple use of land. So someone can say, we must always be the first. The Council of 3 April 2017, Saifagi proposal there resolved the proposal to locate solar farms on cemeteries to be approved in principle. The Council has approved that principle. The Bulawayo community to be engaged on the proposal. Hence, we are meeting here to engage the Bulawayo community to say, let's take that proposal. Let's Thereafter, the project advertised for expression of interest. Once Nasi Vumelani, then we advertise that those spaces esezikhona ukwenzela ukuthi abantu bathi pick up those bafake ama-solar farms. Then we've got our beloved laphana, we've got ama-solar farms that producer i-energy yethu, then sebefakwe le mthunzi khonapho, then we are saying labantu will not be disturbed in there. The proposal concept concept refers to use of land for more than one purpose in a harmonious and coordinated manner. That's what we have to do, because we have seen what land is inelastic. The proposal for solar farms well hinges on the multiple use of land. So with land, 1 square meter is 7 so good, and you can be 7 so good. There is no need for much in view of the high demand and inelasticity of supply of land. The Caesar Honorable Minister, the Kumalo Deputy Mayor, we are surrounded. How do we deal with it? And these people who are here, this generation, that will determine even for the unborn. In this system, the machine is proposed is the use of within cities and solar farms. This does not constitute reuse of the land, but it is the using of the space above the graves without disturbing the peace of the area. The solar panels will be located at a height which allows free movement of people underneath without interfering with the panels. Ukuthi siyakwanisa ukuthi siyenelisa ukuthi sihambe ngaphansi senze kade sivele sijayele ukukwenza kodwa okuhle ukuthi sekulomthunzi phezulu. Nxa uhamba ufuna ukuyakhuluma labangekho uyafika khona phana ukwenze ungelahluphi. The investors will maintain the grave site and the solar panels will provide shelter for the deceased. Because at the moment abanye bangasenelisi ukuthi bavakatshele khona bayekhupha utshani balungise. Siyathola sokulotshani obukhulu khona phana akusamenteenwa and so forth. But we are saying ukuthi those that will come in, one of the conditions will be, can you maintain that place? So we would have our grave sites well maintained. The general public would have unlimited access to the cemetery site in the Electron. So we have unlimited access to it. The relatives of the deceased who are buried within the cemetery will still be able to install tombstones in the graves of their loved ones and also to partake in tombstone unveiling ceremonies. The concept works on similar lines as in pictures below, which shows solar farm roof covered parking area of the Vaal Mall in South Africa. Yes, but parking is what as we as park malls. Then solar farm solar panels full. So maybe graves then so let's be innovative, let's think different, let's be the first. Let others come and learn from us.
This Bulawayo master plan has been unique in that it was not an ordinary preparation of a master plan. We had to review the 2000 to 2015 master plan, and that took intensive consultations of implementing council departments and other stakeholders. We completed that, and in October 2019, we presented our findings. Generally, we found that council had performed reasonably well under these difficult conditions. Between 35 to 40% achievement. And we thought that was fairly good. And then concurrently, we were making a study of the existing conditions, of the existing situation in the city. But fortunately, inkokheli esezikhulumile sezisummarized the situation. And in fact, they even went to proposals. A master plan is going to have 4 volumes. If first volume near review, we've done that. In second volume, Enkulule, that is the report of study, talking about ama conditions agobulawayo, physical conditions, social, economic conditions, they are all here. And then in third volume, Le Mfichana, it summarizes the key issues. The key issues. What is it that is making Bulawayo? What is it that constrains development in Bulawayo? Third volume, key issues. Basically, the last volume, volume 4, this volume is called the written statement. And the written statement deals with proposals and policies, strategies of what we consider should happen in the next 15 years. Those policies which will guide Bulawayo in terms of land, in terms of local economy, in terms of the environment, etc., etc. Those are covered under volume 4, which is what we are going to present today. Those proposals are also presented and summarized in a map called a written statement map, Bulawayo City Council proposals. And that map is on soft copy, so any interested stakeholders may access that, you may send that to yourselves.
Bulawayo has a lot of peculiarities. It prepared the first master plan, and it's also the first local authority to review. So this master plan that we reviewed has been operational from 2000 and up to about 2019. But there's been a changes in terms of the socio-economic status. So the city saw it fit to review the operational master plan. But legally, though it has been overtaken by events, it's still operational unless and until the one that we are presenting has been approved. The report of study has been presented to the city, and it is out of that report of study, that volume 3, which discusses key issues, opportunities, and challenges, is the basis on which we are preparing this written statement. And then the written statement is a policy document which gives a development framework for the city for the next 15 years. It is based on population projections. Based on that population projection, that's where we derive the land needs. Assuming that our population will be 2 million, then we'll be saying how much land do we need to cater for that population. The existing population had been reflected in the report of study, and in the written statement, we also make some projections. Out of the identified key issues, that's why we are saying, what is the vision for the city? The Honorable Minister has indicated that we are saying, what type of city do we want? How do you want Bulawayo to be like? I have a friend who lives in Harare, but his father used to work in Bulawayo. Whenever he visits me, he says, this is not the same Bulawayo that I used to come when I was young. Can Bulawayo do better, because we always benchmark on Bulawayo. So I hope, being here, we are in a position to try to do the best for the city. I'll start on the section on population projections. The city has people who are living here, and they constitute an important variable in terms of determining the future of the city. We looked at 3 scenarios: the low population growth scenario, the medium growth population scenario and the high growth population scenario. But basically, looking at all the scenarios, we have some general facts related to the population. The first one being the birth rate is slowly falling. In other words, it's reducing, mainly due to increased use of contraceptives and the desire to have smaller families. And also the cost of living also has a role to play. Within the city used to be the industrial hub. The question one may ask is, we still have rural to urban migration. Why are people still coming to the city? I have no answer to that. You may also assist me. But the bottom line is that migration is still occurring due to rural poverty, landlessness, and aspirations are among the youth to have what we call bright city lives. They are foreseeing better living standards in the city. The impact of HIV, AIDS, and other pandemics are being felt, and of late we now have the COVID pandemic. And Bulawayo, I'm not sure of the statistics of late, but we have been leading on that. And then the population, as per 2012 census, is relatively young. Nearly 60% were under 24. As a result, we have more people in the fertile age group, and these, due to natural increase, will continue increasing the population. And there has been also a decline in terms of life expectancy. So these are the broad facts which we are looking at all the population scenarios, what may contribute in terms of growth. And basing on this, you may be aware that the 2012 population census, there were a lot of arguments. The estimate for Bulawayo was 653,000. So basing on the low growth rate, which we are saying is 1.8, medium growth rate 2.5, and the high growth rate, which is 3. So we worked on 2 population projections because this is the ZimStats estimate. We also considered our estimates basing on what the city of Bulawayo was saying, what is their population, which was about 1.2 million. We looked at the 3 scenarios also, the low growth rate of 1.8, but you realize that from 2012 up to about 2022, but it goes up to 2034, this decline in view of the decreasing population growth. The same applies, medium growth, we started at 2.5, 2.3, 2.2, 2.1, and I think by 2034 we are saying maybe we will be at about 1.8. And the high growth rate, estimate 3% growth, 2.7, 2.5, and so on. Because we wanted to balance the estimates from the city vis-a-vis what ZimStats were saying. And basing on those 3 scenarios, and also the facts that I've indicated earlier on, which may contribute to population growth, we are saying the medium growth scenario is the one that we chose. In other words, it's the most probable scenario that we can foresee occurring during the planned period. And basing on that medium growth scenario, our estimate is that in the next 15 years period, that is in 2034, the population of Bulawayo is likely to be 1,524,899. So all our projections in terms of land requirements, housing, social and physical infrastructure, as well as other social community facilities are based on the 1.5 million. And the 1.5 million, we arrived at basing on the ZimStats estimate as well as City Council estimates. In other words, the estimates that we're looking at number of properties we are having in the city. So we are saying that it will be 1.5. Those are persons, not households. But when we worked on the land needs, we're looking at the household. So in terms of the summary of land needs, we are saying for a city to grow, we need land for residential use. We need land for creation of employment opportunity, land for open spaces, land for social and community facilities such as schools, clinics, old age homes, and so on. Our projections are such that within the planned period 2019 to 2024, we need 27,995 hectares of land to accommodate the population of 1.524. But however, where are we getting that land? And do we have such amount of land within our existing municipal boundary? So we noted that there exists some development land within the current municipal boundary, which we'll need to consider first before we move outside our municipal boundary. And that is based on the plan period. We have concluded that the land that we require cannot be accommodated within the city. So the land lease are 27,995. We have layouts within the city which have been designed in Mganwini, in Bellevue, the Node Tracks, the Millers. So that is land available within the municipality, but that is planned. And there is a land which has been incorporated into the municipal boundary as per Statutory Instrument 2112 of 1999, which incorporated the northern areas up to the airport. So that constituted most of our land available. So it constitutes that 12,350. So looking at the land needs of 27,000 and land planned, which is and land available, we are saying we have a shortfall of about 13,145 hectares. Those are the land needs that we will need to find outside our municipal boundary. But nonetheless, what vision do we have for the city? A stakeholders workshop was undertaken, as well as through consultations. We formulated this vision. Bulawayo will continue enjoying its status of being a leader in local governance in Zimbabwe. This will be achieved by ensuring that it is well planned, which is what we are doing. It is vibrant. It is an all-inclusive area of opportunities. And a major industrial and economic hub in the country with secure water supplies and appropriate physical and social infrastructure. There was a time in the 1990s when it was noted that a lot of industries were moving away from Bulawayo, citing insecure water supplies. So we are saying to attain this vision, to attract investors, to continue being a leader, to continue being an industrial and economic hub, let's also look at having a secure source of water. And I think this one, we can attest to that. Looking at the previous slide on the land needs or growth options, it's important to note that for us to grow outside our municipal boundary, we need to justify or we need to illustrate the extent to which we have fully utilized land within our municipal boundary. So in terms of the growth options, we had option 1, where we're saying, let's maintain the status quo. In other words, can Bulawayo grow and develop within the existing municipal boundary? So that's our municipal boundary, which incorporates northern areas. And it shows the various land uses. So the available land, the 12,000, falls within that existing municipal boundary. But remember that we have a shortfall of 13,000. So we are saying this option may not achieve our objectives. The growth option, which is comprehensive compact development. What we always emphasize in our development is that let's have development which is compact to avoid urban sprawl, to avoid long distances between where we reside and where we work. So that's why we always have that aspect of being, so let's try to be a compact city. But in being comprehensive, let's look at possible development, all the sides of the city. So this was our option 2, comprehensive compact development. But we're looking at the northern areas, the east and the southern and southeast. And then we have what we call incremental compact development as another option. Incremental meaning bit by bit. But how feasible is that? It will show that maybe we haven't planned properly. But we are saying, let's look at increasing bit by bit throughout or all the sides of the city. So these are the 3 growth options that we considered in formulating, in achieving the possible growth option. But out of these 3, we need to have an option. I think you realize that option 1 is already out because it won't meet the land needs. And then options 2 and 3, they call for the master plan boundary to achieve compactness as well as ensure full utilization within the municipal boundary first. But however, we have chosen option 2, I'll go, this option as a possible growth option. Or let me say we have proposed, because we are here to consult, and we are still to consult more. Because to the southeast here, we have already areas such as the Range Moors, which are on the edge of the boundary. We have areas to the northwest, which are near Cowden Park. We have areas to the east, which are near Kilanis and so on. And towards the south, near the Douglas Dales and so on. So these are the options that we are saying. Let's look at possible areas that we can develop, which can coordinate, because the road linkages may mean the existing roads vis-a-vis the proposals and so on. So this is the option that we are saying it would achieve our growth option, possible growth option. Note that in choosing these growth options, we have what we call the goal achievement matrix. For example, the intention of preparing a master plan is to ensure that there is orderly development. There is coordinated development. There is compactness. And also the goals are achieved. So we are saying the goal achievement matrix, which of course those who may get soft copies upon request, you will see the criteria that we used. Some of these that I've indicated in choosing this as the best option. But what are some of the development goals for the city? We are saying the city should be developed, but what are some of the goals? The first goal, for example, is to ensure availability of suitable land to meet the future needs of Bulawayo until 2034. When you talk of the future needs, remember, you cannot divorce the population growth that you want to accommodate as well as the land needs. So out of those, we have policies and strategies that we have formulated to do with identification of land within the municipal boundary, which we have done by identifying areas which have been subdivided and also identifying areas where there is potential for development still within the municipal boundary, which I'm saying it's almost 12,000 something, but it can't meet our needs. We are saying suitable land to meet the future needs. Some of this can be achieved through subdivision of large plots into smaller plots. We know that some of these properties are privately owned, but the whole intent is that we are encouraging those who own large properties to subdivide so that at least other people also can buy proper land from them so that they can develop. So that constitutes also availing land. The other goal also, which is related to the economic base, is to establish a strong and sustainable local economic base in Bulawayo. How are we going to do that? What are our proposals? To ensure adequate and suitable development land is made available for industrial and commercial development. So we identified areas which can constitute growth of the industrial and commercial base, and then to promote and support strong links with agricultural activities. We are surrounded by farms. But to what extent is most of that produce, and most of that produce coming to the city, but to what extent are we having processing and so on? Why can't we try to promote and support for possible linkages between the hinterland and the city? To identify anchor projects and closed or declining industries for revival. You may be aware that there's been an outcry to say we have industries in Bulawayo which are no longer fulfilling its purpose. So the issue is, how can those industries be revived? Remember, we have been declared a special economic zone by government in an effort to resuscitate some of those industries. So it's important for us to say, what type of industries can we have in the city? Let's look also, in terms of the economic base, small and medium enterprises. Are they accommodated? Let's look at the informal sector. Is it now the economy of Bulawayo? How are we accommodating it? How can we promote synergies between the informal sector and other economic activities? Are there linkages? So those are some of the issues that we looked at. The third goal, to ensure that provision is made for adequate social and community facilities to meet the city's needs during the plan period. We are looking at the education sector, for example, where we are proposing that there is a shortage of ECD facilities. We established that there is a shortage based on the population projections as the age cohort. We are looking at 52 new preschools, ECD facilities, being provided within the city. Primary schools and other ancillary facilities within residential neighborhoods. Currently, we are having what city? We are having some residential areas or neighborhoods which do not have such facilities. So, these facilities, primary schools and other ancillary facilities, laboratories and so on, they have to be provided for. So land will be set aside for that, or has been set aside. Development of a range of tertiary education facilities designed to meet the needs of school leavers and adults under continuous education. In particular, council to support 1, the development of government vocational training colleges, 2, skills training centers. What has happened to the school leavers program which has been undertaken by the city? Still under social and community facilities, we are looking at the health sector. We are proposing that there should be an allocation of adequate resources to equip existing as well as construct proposed healthy facilities. To what extent do we have healthy facilities in each and every residential neighborhood? So the number of facilities which are in short supply has been indicated in the document so that we cater for all the residential neighborhoods. There may be also need for additional hospitals to meet future population growth. There need to be expansion of some clinics to include maternity facilities, and then additional local clinics to meet future population growth. But ideally, we expect someone within Country Park to access healthy facilities within Country Park, to access community facilities within Country Park, such as schools, such as commercial facilities. And where possible, let's have, like I indicated, small-scale industrial activities within the neighborhood, so that at least people can be near their places of work. The major one, which is residential, 16,741 hectares of land will be reserved for residential development during the plan period as follows. We are saying let's cater for the high, the medium, and the low. About 13,393 will be for high density, 2,511 for medium density, and 837 for low density development. You realize that for the low density, I think our projection that it should be about 5%, and then medium density 15, and high density 80. The reason being that when people undertake subdivisions, the high income, that is low density, can be accommodated within that. But mainly for the low income, it should be the responsibility of the local authority and other private players to provide mainly for residential. We also proposed under housing that flats and housing in the oldest residential neighborhoods will be improved such that houses which have communal facilities are provided with wet cores, and then the oldest houses or flats with structural defects will be improved. In some of these, it has been on the council agenda, but we are re-emphasizing to say it's an area of concern. Let it be documented somewhere so that the local authority can look at that. The other goal is to do with the public transport. We intend making a provision for an efficient public transport system that meets the needs of the people during the planned period. To start with under transportation, we are saying, let's establish a road network system that allows safe movement of all road users and interlink to other transportation modes for good access to all sectors of the city. To what extent are our roads user-friendly? Are we accommodating cyclists? Are we accommodating pedestrians? To what extent are there no traffic hazards resulting from our public transport systems stopping anywhere within the city? So these are some of the issues that we are looking at under public transportation. Should we continue along the use of the commuter women buses, the Zupcos? Are we going the European way, where we are saying let's promote mass transit? What is needed for that? Are our roads capable of doing that? Those are some of the questions. So we're saying under the roads, provision will be made to strengthen and improve the following ring road system in the city. The ring road system within the city, I think like the Honorable Minister has indicated, it has been something that has guided the design of our roads within the city. And they are efficient in the sense that you do not need to come to the city center or via the CBD when you have no business within the CBD. So that is why we are saying, let's continue developing the ring road system such that if I want to go to Makandeni from Plamte, from Botswana, I don't need to pass through the city center, but I can use Masia Pambi. The same should apply when we use the Ntemba drives and so on. So let's develop our ring road system. And then we are also proposing that there may be need for additional new roads to be considered, such as extension of the County-Bank corridor to join Masia Pambi and Victoria Falls Road. The County-Bank corridor, extension of County-Bank corridor to meet the 60-meter road and the outer road to link Yamandov and Victoria Falls Road. So we are saying there is no need for me, if I'm within County Park, to come to Masia Pambi. Why can't we have an outer ring road? And then new road to be constructed to link the Victoria Falls and the airport road as per local plan number 10. You realize that some of these proposals are in place. When I'm going to the airport from County Park, do I need to come through the city? So these are some of the road proposals that we suggested in the plan. In terms of an efficient public transport system, embracing a variety of forms of public transport, conventional buses, commuter-owned buses, trains, and taxis. Due consideration will be given to the introduction of other modes of public transport, such as trams. Why can't you dream of a Khao train in Bulawa? What is stopping us from doing that? Is the Kombi and conventional bus system the best mode of public transport? What mode of transport are we proposing such that it will make the Honorable Minister to say, today I'm not driving to work, but I want to use public transport? I hope we have colleagues from ZUPCO. Because I remember in the early 80s when we used to board ZUPCO, you would know that there's the 6 o'clock one, there's the half 10 one, and so on. So that at least you can plan your day. What makes us not go back to such systems? Where are we failing? This is not only a ZUPCO problem, but we are all part of the problem. But the issue that we are merely saying, let's see how best we can address. The city, we are having an increase in terms of private car ownership in the city. The parking situation, don't we need a study so that we understand or establish the extent to which parking is adequate in the city? Are we having a parking shortfall? We have challenges, or we have a lot of these huge trucks traversing between Zambia and South Africa, and also from Botswana and so on. To what extent are these forms of transport or traffic being accommodated in the city? You go to 15th Avenue by total there, around 4 in the evening or so on. They park there. Why? Don't we have such sites? If they are there, why are they not being developed? So those are the questions that we'll try to answer some of these issues as per our proposal. And then we are saying the city shall prepare, adopt, and keep under review a traffic management plan for the city with special emphasis on the city center. It is important to note that in an effort to bring sanity to the public transport system, the establishment of companies, which the city was taking the lead, the establishment of a public transport policy by the city was aimed at doing that. Has it achieved that? The policy document is there. Where are the challenges? Because we need that public transport system. So the traffic management plan also will assist the city in planning on the way forward regarding public transport in the city. Let's look at social and physical infrastructure to facilitate social and economic development. This goal is saying we need roads, we need sewer. And some of that infrastructure will facilitate social and economic development. Meaning, we need roads to develop housing. We need roads to lead us to where we are going to develop schools, commercial facilities. So, as an investor, would you be willing to put your money where there's no proper physical infrastructure? Well, so we are saying land allocated for economic use shall be provided with key services, such as access roads, supplies of water, sewer, electricity, and telecommunication. So we are saying, where possible, the city can develop this in collaboration with other partners. In the water sector, the completion of the Gwai-Shangani Dam is an important one, and then linking the pipeline from the Zambezi, addressing issues to do with water discharge into Kami Dam, and then diversify water use. To what extent are we harnessing water? In other words, water harvesting as residents. I think this year has been a tough one for all of us. Assuming that it was easier to buy Jojo tanks and harvest water, would be doing that because we learned it the hard way this year. To what extent can issues to do with the climate research and monitoring of geohydrological conditions assist us in terms of planning for our city? We noted also that we need land to be allocated for the development of new water reservoirs to serve the proposed expansion areas indicated in the master plan. Have indicated developments outside the existing municipality boundary. To what extent our existing reservoirs will be in a position to service those areas? So land has been set aside for that. In terms of sewage treatment facilities, this also will be provided within the city. Looking at things like improving the capacity at SAST, improving the capacity at Waterford treatment works, and also Killarney Water and Treatment Plant has also been proposed. The new Cultivar treatment plant will pave way for decommission of Magwegwe, Lufeve, and also Cultivar. So you are saying that we are foreseeing what may happen in the future. We are letting possible areas of development and possible infrastructure that we need for those areas to be fully functioning. So all the areas that we have proposed outside, we have made a proposal for a reservoir or for a sewer treatment plant, depending on the extent to which existing plants can service that. But bear in mind the issue with the population increase, we are saying they may not all cope. But the city, during this plan period, has rehabilitated some of those plants. The objective, this one is looking at the environment, to develop Bulawayo into an environmentally conscious and environmentally sustainable city. Street improvement. That's another proposal where we are saying it will enhance the soft and hard landscaping and ensure good and quality and harmonious environment. If you drive in Selborne, in the suburbs, you will see a difference. Some of the trees, of course, they are now very old. But during the rainy season, you'd love to drive in that area. To what extent do we have such landscapes within our neighborhoods? We have developed boundary walls 2 meters high. How is that appealing aesthetically? Let's also look at improving tree lining of the main streets by protecting existing and replacing old or damaged trees. Let's improve landscaping along the main thoroughfares in the city. We have the Harare main road, Victoria Falls main road, Plumtree main road, Gwanda main road. By improving those thoroughfares, we are saying, when you approach Bulawayo, you should be able to tell that you are approaching someone. The city should engage on a planned rehabilitating initiative for disturbed land within the master plan. This may include rehabilitating excavated land and deforested areas. I think this one is clear. And then we are looking at consider developing a properly engineered landfill with methane recovery facility. We are saying that we are looking at the future. We have an existing dump site with the city council within the means they are doing the best. But then the lifespan could be less than 10 years. But this plan is almost 15 years. We are projecting to say, maybe during the plan period, let's plan for a properly engineered landfill with the possibility of methane recovery gas. That will complement what my colleague, Mr. Siziba, has been talking when we talk of the solar projects. So the landfill that we are foreseeing being developed or initiated during the plan period should have way bridges, methane gas collection system, security, and any other ancillary facility. The gas system we are looking at as being important. It may allow for the generation of energy for the city in a context of energy shortage in the country. So that's why I said that it will be complementing what Mr. Siziba has been indicating. In terms of finance and management, let's have a forward-thinking management for Bulawayo with adequate resources to meet the needs of the city. The city will continue to seek ways and means of obtaining or raising finances to fund projects, programs, and service delivery. We are all ratepayers. To what extent are we meeting our obligation? To what extent do we want services that we haven't paid for? We may be paying, some of us, but the issue is that most of us are not paying. The city is owed a lot of money, which is creating some of this. And it's also important for the city to think outside the box. What could be undertaken as a means of generating revenue for the city? Could we still be milking the same cow for 20 years and producing the same amount of milk? In the management part, another proposal is for the training needs. The city will identify or assess training needs for mid-career skills upgrading for its technical and professional staff. I think this is something which I've realized that is ongoing. I think there's a lot of emphasis on GIS. We are looking at the possible development of things like the smart city. So we are saying, let's take on board our members of the management team and those who can. We have what we call a strategic environmental assessment, where we are saying some of the development proposals that we have made in the master plan, we need them to be assessed within the context or the extent to which they will have implications on the environment. For example, we may need to look at the implications of developing the Egodini terminus, redevelopment of Makokoba, development of sewage treatment works, upgrading waterworks, development of police stations and major industrial establishments. All these developments that we have listed here, they have implications on the environment. So when we talk of strategic environmental assessment, we are saying, generally, what are the implications of these developments on the environment that they will be undertaken? The proposed developments, this is strategic environmental assessment, are likely to have impacts on these major environmental components. Whatever development has implications on land, has implications on vegetation, has implications on the aesthetics and visual impact. The aesthetics and visual impacts is two-pronged. During construction, the place may appear shabby, not in order, but once that has been completely done, the visual aspect improves. Developments have implications on soils, on water, noise, or on air quality. So that is why it is important for EMA to review large-scale development projects to see the impact of those on the environment. And now, having said this and having made some proposals, because this is a 15-year plan period, we are of the thinking that we need to have a 3-phase program, that is 5 years each, where we are saying we can have priority projects development phase, where we are saying there are things which are happening now, but upon the approval, the city needs to give priority to this. And then the phase 2 could be medium term, and then phase 3 could be long term. So for priority projects, development phase, we are looking at upgrading schemes and those projects considered for priority implementation. So we could be looking at upgrading or improving on the old hostels, old flats, as well as priority implementation, the various measures which the city has been doing this year in an effort to improve the water situation. What the city could have been doing to improve our sewer or roads, we may consider them as priority. And then for phase 2, projects listed for implementation, which are medium term, and then phase 3, this could be long term. For example, priority projects we're looking at identification of vacant land within the municipality. This is a priority. Preparation of layouts, upgrading water infrastructure, upgrading and connecting of sewer infrastructure, some of the areas not yet serviced, provision of a new cemetery, construction of primary schools in the new built-up areas, roads upgrading, and gazetting of the new municipal boundary. So we are saying these are activities which we are saying they should be given priority. Of course, the list may be added in close consultation with the local authority. But we are saying these ones are key. Like you see that Egodin is part of those. Phase 2, which is medium term, this is continuous. The layout, the sanitary landfill, surveying, development of new areas, construction of clinics, schools, and roads upgrading. Schools, roads, and design of layouts, I think these ones will be continuous towards the plan period, because a local authority don't expect any area to be developed without any layouts. So this has to be a continuous activity. And then phase 3, towards the end of the plan period, the layouts are still there, the primary schools are still there, roads upgrades are still there, and then the development of local areas and other activity nodes. So the development of design of layouts, the surveying, the servicing should also complemented by development within some of these areas. So at what we are referring to as activity nodes, we are referring to areas where that is where things happen. Let me put it that way. It could be within the major roads which are entering the city, the local centers, and then other places of entertainment. That is what we are looking at. And then what are some of the implementation strategies and mechanisms? The first one is formulation of effective development control strategies to ensure that the plan proposals are effectively implemented. This plan, what we should also note in terms of the strategy is that this is not a municipality activity. We are into this together. Because one, the Minister of Education needs to provide the policy framework, as well as the Minister of Health, in terms of implementation of some of their activities. There could be other activities which involve parastatals, ZESA, which involve TEL 1, NRZ, and so on. So we are saying we need people to coordinate to ensure the smooth implementation. There could be need either for quarterly reviews to say, there's this proposal, who is taking the lead, how far? For now, we are seeing this master plan as local authority baby. The role of the private sector is critical in terms of implementation. The city council used to service having sourced money from World Bank, USAID, and so on. With the preparation of the 2012 housing policy, we said let other players come in. To what extent are other land providers servicing land to the satisfaction of the local authority? They are a critical part in housing provision. But there are the terms and conditions which have to be. So we are seeing the private sector playing a key and leading role in development proposals such as the CBD, mixed uses, development zones, and provision of other facilities such as hospitals, clinics, daycare center, and schools. And then improving community level participation in the development of a city through improvement of the local structures. A close working relationship with the civic society will improve the oversight on the part of the local authority. So this is also critical. In terms of the financial strategy, most of the plans which have been prepared, there have been challenges in terms of implementation due to lack of resources. The lack of financial resources to implement is one of the major constraints. So as a result, some of the proposals which may come in may include budget provisions or capital projects, grants or technical assistance through bilateral cooperations, loans from African Development Bank, local commercial banks. To what extent can we harness something from Infrastructure Development Bank of Zimbabwe? To what extent are banks in Zimbabwe currently working hand in hand with local authorities, the pension funds, and insurance companies? And also, council can use its own funds, which they may bring first, as a possible source of revenue to implement some of these proposals. And then in terms of monitoring and review, this is very critical. This will involve measuring the extent to which the proposals are meeting the set goals and objectives. It should be the responsibility of all implementing institutions, like I emphasized, not only the city of Bulawayo. The monitoring of performance is in itself a management tool for providing information to departments, to assist in decision making, and to check on performance. This could be in the form of zoning plans, land use activity regulations, policies, standards. And there is need also for a master plan coordination by various stakeholders, which have a stake in the whole process. And last but not least, this is our master plan proposals. In other words, with some amendments which may come in due to your input, we would be expecting maybe this to be in the mayor's office, in the director of engineering office, and so on. Because it will give you an overview in terms of the proposed road network, where should some of these facilities be put. These are just indicative. They may not be exact sites. Because for some sites, there may be need for some studies to be done in terms of the soils, in terms of the geology, to see the suitability. But on the overall, so far as a starting point, we said, this is the level that we are foreseeing, and this is where we think some of the facilities may be allocated.